Matthew Schmidt in Kiev. He's a professor of national security and the political science at the University of New Haven. So the Russian president is making his State of the Nation address right now. How do you think that will be seen from Kiev?
The Ukrainians find this as nothing new, that this is the same language he's been using for years, and they just sort of laugh it off at this point.
Mm-hmm. Laugh it off. And he's been saying many things that are, for example, that could be cause for concern. The more long-range weapons are sent to Ukraine, the more we will have to push the threat from our borders. What do you make of such statements?
Everybody has to be prepared for those statements to be made true in one way or another. But the Ukrainians understand that Putin has been slinging missiles at them for quite some time, and they will do what they've been doing for years. They will go into the shelters and they will survive what happens. As for the larger West, you can be assured that the United States would not have sent Biden into Kiev to make the kind of strong statement he made unless they were confident that Russia would not follow through on attacking NATO, or were confident that they could defend adequately.
And it really seems, from what just Putin was saying there, that he still believes that Russia can win on the battlefield.
Yeah, well, Russia remains a formidable force because it has mass. Mm-hmm. It has a lot of people on the battlefield. It has a lot of weaponry. But what you find is that is most important is that the leadership in the Russian armed forces is terrible. You have bad morale, and you have a culture in the Russian armed forces that does not allow tactical units at the front line to make individual decisions. Mm-hmm. The opposite is the case in Ukraine. And the most important thing that's been going on for Ukraine is not the tanks, is not the weaponry, it's the training and what's called combined arms maneuver that's been going on in the last few months. Mm-hmm. Ukraine will be able to come back onto the battlefield and operate in large units, in 500-person units or more, something like the Western military does. They'll be able to coordinate artillery fire, armor, and infantry in a way that the Russians haven't seen yet. It will be something like fighting a junior partner or a junior version, of NATO.
And when we look at these live images there of the state address there by Vladimir Putin, the State of the Nation address, there's a round of applause, there's people nodding. We have the foreign minister there, the head of the Russian Orthodox Church. But outside that room, how much support does President Putin still have for what he calls his special military operation?
Well, I think it's important to remember that the audience for his speech is not the West. Mm-hmm. The audience for his speech is not Ukraine. The audience for his speech is his own people. The speech is designed to play on and push sort of cultural triggers, right? To say things like, to bring up the 19th century, to talk about the 1930s. These are sort of touchstones that are ingrained in a large portion of the population to help them see Ukraine as a war of liberation, right, against the Nazis that don't exist mm-hmm. in Ukraine. And so the symbolism that he's deploying is designed to promote the propaganda he needs to maintain domestic support. As far as how well that's working, it's divided up generationally. If you look at the older portion of the population that receives most of their information from television, there's strong support for the war. Mm-hmm. As you get into younger generations, that support starts to wane. And we don't really know exactly where it is, of course, because public polling isn't accurate. People are not giving accurate information. But what we do know is that every day on Twitter, every day on Telegram, you see videos coming out of Russia of people protesting mobilization, for instance. And you see videos going into Russia of the devastation and the carnage being visited upon Russian forces. So I would say that it's mixed morale in the mm-hmm. Russian population.
All right, well, we will leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. That was Matthew Schmidt speaking to us there from Kiev, Professor of National Security and Political Science.